Welcome to the Mwano Labs podcast, where we believe that curiosity leads to questions and questions lead to innovation. In this first season, we are focusing on men's mental health. I'm your host, Vinny Mwano. Why men's mental health? A friend of mine said a couple of days ago, do you know that November is also known to be Men's Mental Health Awareness Month? I'm like, what? Yes, that is so awesome. I went to tell one of my friends that are women. I said, hey, do you know that November is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month? And both of their response in different situations, they were like, oh, of course they have a month. And I was taken back at their response because they weren't thrilled about it. It was almost as if it was like, okay, whatever, another thing that men have. And it almost made it seem like it was a competition. And that also sparked in me to actually have this conversation, to actually host this series on men's mental health. Imagine a man going up to a woman and being vulnerable, and their response is like, It's like not thinking that their mental health even matters. And I think a lot of the situations that we deal with as far as men is the fear of our vulnerability not being taken seriously, or not being taken into consideration that this is actually a burden that we're carrying, that whatever we're dealing with emotionally that is connected to our physical, our mental, also our existence, it's going to impact how we show up in the world. I am not a trained medical physician on mental health. Don't have any of those degrees. I hope that this dialogue and conversation is able to give you new perspective and new gems, and also just an understanding of how do you show up in spaces when your mental health is not well, versus how do you show up in spaces when your mental health is great. I wanted to read a quote from one of my friends that they ended up posting this a couple of days ago, and I found it to be really, really impactful. And I was super excited for my friend. This is what he said. Yesterday was my first therapy session. Therapy has been something that I've been wanted to start for a while now. Am I okay mentally? Yes. I'm in a good mental space with amazing support system of friends and family that I love dearly. But sometimes in life, you may need to seek out outside help, outside of your friends and family, for unbiased advice and guidance. Honestly, I grew tired of burning out my peers and burdening them with the same nonsense and problems that I would have despite them still being there for me, which I'm thankful for. I just feel like this is a step towards navigating through and healing past issues that I've had such a hard time and trouble letting go of old situations, such as anxiety, past relationships, where I'm currently in my life and my future. Taking this step will bring me closer to a better, healed, forgiven version of myself. I was so thrilled and so happy for my friend that he was taking this step. Not all of us are able to actually admit that outside guidance is great. Outside guidance, outside unbiased guidance is able to provide us with a perspective of where we can actually start healing. And healing looks very, very different. How do we start with talking about mental health? How do we start by decoding and unpeeling men's mental health? First, I want to talk about just showing up in places. I find myself that when I am not mentally is because I'm not grounded. And then what does grounded look like for me? Because I grew up playing sports, I'm very physical. I'm very in tune with my body. I'm also a dancer. And so when I haven't had days where I haven't ran or done push-ups or haven't stretched, I feel disconnected to my body, which in return makes me feel like I am not able to cognitively respond in situations in a gentle, caring, loving, and reasonable way. People say that we spend so much time in our headspace that we forget that our whole entire body also exists, that our vibration of energy impacts how we navigate the world. The type of person that I want to be in the world is an indication of who I am and how I navigate in the world. And so how do I know the type of person I want to be in the world? I spend some time to write down values and also write down what type of man do I want to be in the world. And some of those things that I wrote down a couple of years ago is I want to be a man that is loving, that is gentle, that is able to not be angered. Like anger is okay, emotions are great. Emotions allow us and remind us that we have connections to things, but not responding from an emotional state, but actually taking a step back when I feel like I'm not able to be productive in a situation or conversation. Number 4 is I want to be a man that is able to be an ally in justice, an ally in representation, an ally in seeing the human being, putting human being first and everything else later. I love the Martin Luther King quote, judge the man by his character, not by the skin of their complexion, not by the color of their complexion, of their skin. And so how do I start putting mental health first in my life? I just consciously make the step in ensuring that I'm putting myself first. And what does that mean, putting myself first? Being intentional. The setup here in this episode, I had a lot of different ideas of how I wanted this to look. And I was like, I need to make it easy. Make it simple, Vinny. Make it simple. Don't think so much about how things supposed to look, but just start. Start with saying, I know how the end goal looks like, but I'm going to take the small step and making it simple for me so that way I don't overcomplicate things. When I overcomplicate things, that's when I end up just feeling stuck. That's when I end up not doing anything. And I've also recognized that it is really important for me to realize when I am the most productive, when I am the most creative, when I am the most encouraged and inspired to do the things that make me come alive. Of someone who has been stepping out of their comfort zone to raise awareness for men's mental health is my friend Sam Graham. Hey Sam, why did you want to do this? What made you want to go through and start this initiative?
The whole month of November, right? It's called Movember.
Yeah.
And you just, you put on a mustache, like, I guess the idea behind it is, not a lot of people have mustaches these days. So when you have one now, people ask you about it, right? Oh, what's up with that? Never seen you with a mustache before. And it opens kind of the door to talk about why you have it. And, it starts a conversation about it's for men's mental health and suicide prevention and testicular and prostate cancer. And it's some of those things that men don't really talk about, right? Like their mental health. And, I think we've all known some people who've struggled with it and maybe even dealt with suicide. And, you feel that, you could have been there more for that person or whatnot, and hoping or wishing they, reached out to you more and you know, you could have had a conversation with them or talked about it. And then on the, you know, health side, it's like some guys, like I miss doctor's appointments and things like that. And, you know, you can catch things like testicular and prostate cancer early on. And so a lot of people don't, you know, go to their doctor's appointments because they just don't feel like they need to, and they can miss those things. So it just kind of opens the door to talk about stuff that isn't normally talked about. I know, like, the whole masculinity thing, and people like men don't have feelings and don't show their feelings and emotions. And, you know, I get it. Because I've like kind of always been like that.
Yeah.
But it, you know, I think it's helpful to even if you're not dealing with something yourself and you feel good and safe and secure, hearing other people talk about it might, you know, trigger someone else to be like, you know what, I should talk about my feelings and what I'm going through, and, you know, kind of deal with things head on.
Yeah, man, do 100%. And it's funny thing you like, not even funny, but it's like the way that you mentioned it. When I found out about Movember, it was mid-October, and I was like, wait a second, this month exists, and I really was excited about it because I also, again, same boat. I recognize that folks, even myself, because I've been doing the work of just like internally checking with myself. It's just because the different roles that I like, being a father, being an entrepreneur, being a partner. So a lot of different things that I have dealt with, and I'm like, man, I feel like I'm able to actually articulate what I was dealing with internally. and I'm definitely in the place where I'm like, I want this to be normalized, where men are not, I guess they don't feel like they are their own lone soldier out in the world.
I understand that for sure.
And so I love what you're doing. So the event's the 24th, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, getting back to like why I started and all that, like, I have a bunch of friends in the industry in Manchester, like Brian Tebow, Cam Clayton, just to name a couple that, you know, have been doing this, I don't know, I think close to 10 years now. And I started getting closer with them and realizing what they were doing. So I joined about 3 years ago. And so every November we have been doing a cornhole tournament. We have a couple events. We usually do some events at breweries where the breweries pitch in like $1 per beer for a few hours that people order, and raise some money that way. We go around to local bars and restaurants to, you know, get donations for gift cards, and kind of just spread the word. And yeah, this November the 24th, kind of a week from tomorrow, we're hosting a cornhole. Pat Mills at Bonfire has been, you know, generous enough to let us use his venue every year so far, and into the future, hopefully, to, you know, host a cornhole tournament and you know, just, you know, keep talking about what we're doing and raising money for that. So yeah, it's next Sunday the 24th at about noon. Random teams, so $25 each. We're trying to get 64 people, so 32 teams. Mm-hmm. It's quick, single elimination, and, you know, it's just for fun. It's not super competitive because we don't have people coming in with their own teams. And then we got a bunch of donations for raffle prizes as well, so we'll raise money that way. We're going to do it'll be football Sunday, so we might do one of the football games, some squares, and, you know, send out half the money, donate half the money. So, you know, ways to give this foundation that, you know, started years ago to help all these types of things some money to, you know, put into good places.
That's dope, man. This is where I'm like, man, I wish I could just take a trip up, but I won't be able to, but I'm definitely gonna Venmo you some money so you can donate.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, next year, it's maybe planned for it.
What you're doing is, again, I think it's super dope. It's a really great cause. And I think that the more people hear about the positivity around men's mental health, right. I think more individuals will be able to actually seek the help they need.
It's trying to get the word out there, you know, that like people aren't struggling alone. Like, I mean, I go through things. I'm sure you go through things. Yeah. Everyone goes through things. And, you know, I try to have conversations, but there's things I can be better at. Like, I know specifically for me, like, I'm bad at, like, keeping in touch with, like, my friends and family and, like, giving them phone calls randomly just to talk and do those types of things. And I try to be better at that, and just, you know, all different types of things that, you know I can work on. And I know there's people out there struggling with their own issues. So being able to, you know, at least try to be an ally and be out there talking about things is a start, at least.
Do you have like women also involved in this, or is it a lot of just men?
Well, in terms of, there are plenty of women involved. So we actually at Bonfire, Candy, Pat's wife, set us up over there to shoot some promo videos. I don't know if you see Bonfire on Instagram, but you can check them out. They've shot some reels of us, like some funny ones with the mustaches and things like that, sort of promo videos for the event. So, and all the waitresses over there were helping us do that. My fiance Mira has been helping me raise money, and she helps a lot at the tournament, selling raffle tickets. My mom has gotten some raffle baskets together. I think all of our girlfriends' wives, fiancés have pitched in a little bit. So no, we're really lucky, and that's kind of sort of why I do it too. I recognize that I have the privilege of and the luckiness of such a great family and friends that that love and support me. So using kind of just whatever my small platform is to kind of relay that into raising money and raising raffle prizes and just raising awareness. And I recognize that not everyone might have such a great support system, and I'm blessed for that. And so being able to put my word out to all those people who support me is very good, and I recognize that I can do that, and I can raise some money, and it's not something everyone can do, and I recognize that, and I try to use what I have and do the best I can. I mean, even stepping into this and doing this, it's like a little out of my comfort zone. I'm not a big talker or like public speaker, things like that. So
Yeah.
even like doing reels at Bonfire is kind of out of my comfort zone. So I'm doing some things that are like new to me and a little different, but I think that's the point of all this, to kind of step out and for men especially to talk and have a voice and not bottle everything up.
Yeah, man, that's dope. Hey, salute for you, man, stepping out of your comfort zone and making that step, because that's how I heard about it. That's how I heard about what you're doing, and I'm like, whoa, Sam's posting this up. That's what's up. Because there's always a lot of things that people try to raise money for that I'm like, that's cool, but this is the one that I've been like, yeah, I definitely want to throw some dollars to
you,
this.
Right?
Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does. And I'm always thinking like, man, what a big difference this would have made if I knew about it in high school. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. and I always joke around with people. It's like, imagine if therapy was just offered like a Gatorade. Like, it was so easy to get. It's like, oh, you want to join a sports team? Oh yeah, we have a therapist right here who can talk about this and that. Like, if it was normalized, how different, like certain people will still be around right now. You know what I mean? So I think about that. And so, it brings me joy that we're talking about this, because 20 years ago, we would not be, this conversation would be like, what the heck are we talking about? You know what I mean? Like, but,
right.
And I think that the younger generation,
there's some dirt on it,
right? Exactly. Right. And I think like there's now the younger generation that are being more, I guess, accustomed to, it's okay to just talk about the hard stuff.
Right.
But that's what's up, man. Yeah. So I definitely, again, I'm going to throw some money down. I'm excited for what you and the team are doing. And I definitely know for a fact that the more and more this conversation gets pushed, the more lives and the more opportunities people will have to catch certain things or have those conversations before it's too late.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of things like we can do. I mean, it's sort of a newer movement, like you mentioned, but it is opening avenues for younger people to let their voices be heard and not battle their demons alone, for sure.
That's dope, man, dude. Thank you so much for sharing. I love that.
Yeah, and I'll add one more thing. Just kind of the real reason I started this 3 years ago is mainly because one of the closest people to me in my life was my brother, and he dealt with a lot of mental health issues and kind of lost the battle that way, and I think about him every day, and I was just trying to think of things to do to remember him, and this is definitely a big one, and it spoke to me, and I wish I was there for him more, but he lived a great life, and he had his demons, but he was a great person, and he's the main source of me, starting to do this and trying to at least put myself out there and hoping to grow it every year and do more and more and more. So it's a good cause, and I'm happy to be doing it.
Dude, man, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah. I do recall when I saw the updates on that.
Yeah.
Man. Sam has $900 left to raise for the campaign he's running for Movember. If you want to donate, the link is within the description of this episode. If you want to attend the event, it's taking place Sunday, the 24th of November. The event will happen at noon, and it's going to be taking place at the Bonfire Country Bar in Manchester, New Hampshire. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. We'll catch you on the next one. This episode has been produced, edited by the Mwano Labs team.